In the grand history of kings and warriors, there was one name, one legend, a king who never lied, even at the cost of his kingdom, his family, his very life. This is the tale of Harishchandra, the king whose truth shook the very heavens. King Harishchandra, revered for his unshakable commitment to truth, ruled with wisdom and fairness. But fate had a cruel game to play. The great sage Vishvamitra, determined to test the king's devotion to honesty, came forth with a request that would change everything. Vishvamitra did not ask for gold, nor jewels. He asked for the one thing Harishchandra held most dear, his kingdom. The weight of the demand hung in the air like a storm waiting to strike. And yet, without hesitation, Harishchandra bowed his head and spoke the words that would seal his fate. A king's word is his honor. And so, the kingdom was no longer his. But little did he know, this was only the beginning of his suffering. Stripped of his title, his wealth, and his home, Harishchandra set forth into exile. Beside him, his queen, Taramati, held their son close, fear clouding her eyes. Hunger gnawed at them, yet they walked, unbroken. But fate was not yet finished with them. The sage demanded a ceremonial donation to complete the act of giving away the kingdom. But Harishchandra, with nothing left, was left with only one choice. He sold himself into servitude at the cremation grounds, where he would collect fees from those who came to burn their dead. His queen, too, was forced into slavery, her dignity stripped away as she toiled for a cruel master. And thus, the once mighty king became nothing more than a worker among ashes and sorrow. Then came the greatest trial of all. Rohitashva, their beloved son, had fallen victim to fate's cruel hand. His tiny body lay cold in Taramati's arms as she staggered toward the cremation ground, seeking only the final rites for her child. But the man standing before her was no longer just her husband. He was the keeper of the grounds. And by law, he could not allow a funeral without the cremation fee. A father's love. A king's duty. Two unmovable forces, colliding in a moment of excruciating pain. Every fiber of Harishchandra's being screamed to abandon his duty, to hold his son one last time and grieve. And yet, he stood firm. Even now, truth could not be broken. He asked his own wife, for the funeral fee. Even the gods trembled at this sight. For this was truth's most terrible price. And then, the heavens spoke. The gods themselves descended, their voices echoing through the land. They had watched, they had seen, and they could remain silent no longer. For his unwavering righteousness, Harishchandra was granted the ultimate reward. His son was returned to him, his kingdom restored, and his suffering lifted. The world watched in awe as truth, though painful, triumphed in the end. A man who had given up everything, now had it all returned, and more. His name would live on, not just in the hearts of men, but in the very essence of time itself. Truth is not the easy path. It is a road of suffering, of sacrifice. But in the end, truth always prevails. Harishchandra's story is not just a tale, it is a lesson. A lesson that even in the darkest of times, one must never abandon righteousness. In a world where lies come easy, dare to be different. Dare to be like Harishchandra.